Oh wow! When I signed on, I didn't know I'd be the girl on the poster. I imagined for some reason, because it's such a successful book, that it would be the traditional book cover with the shopping bags. So it was a bit of a shock, to say the least, to be driving down Sunset Boulevard and see, a giant, my head, which is the size of a car. It was very unnerving.
Well, at the core of this...
Seems crazy that anybody gave me my own movie. It seems like it's a mistake and they're about to rip the posters down, but here we are.
I was going to say, at the core of this comedy is pretty much a condition that can ruin lives. Like, there's a sense that some people who have this sort of shopaholism, whatever you want to call it, can end up very much bankrupt. And I don't know whether that was something that you thought, well, no, this is light and fluffy. Let's not go there. This isn't what we're dealing with here.
Oh, absolutely, you think that. I mean, we wanted to sell, and not sell, that sounds cynical. We wanted to make a movie that represented the books, and we wanted it to be, a romantic, escapist film. And there is a very dark and sad side to debt and any kind of addiction, but we didn't want to touch on that. You don't want to medicalize normal problems as well. She loves shopping, but it's not at that stage.
In Hollywood,
her life hasn't become unmanageable. Although it has.
I was going to say, in Hollywood terms, you could sort of say that this is part Devil Wears Prada, part Legally Blonde, maybe even Being There. Maybe the Emile DeMarcus story. I don't know.
Being There, wow.
Well, that's sort of
just quoted my favourite movie.
Well, that idea of the sort of, not a simpleton, but somebody who has philosophies that sort of, without them realising it, sort of hit a note with a lot of people. They think they're metaphoric and they're not necessarily.
Yes.
But that I don't know whether for you there was a kind of sitting down and looking at old movies or kind of trying to get a reference point to sort of give you an idea of where to go with this.
No. I mean, I didn't look at old movies. I just read and reread the books, and I just explored, Rebecca's, the nature of her denial, what it's like to be addicted to something. I did all that kind of research, and then I suppose if I was to quote an old movie, it would be A Streetcar Named Desire. Well, no play, but that Blanche Dubois' a monologue about wanting to make the world more beautiful. That that resonated with me, and I sort of, I thought about that a lot, because I think Becky does want to make the world more beautiful. I think it comes from a positive place, but at the same time, we're just making a comedy, and a lot of the comedy, was improvised by me and was invented by me, and it came out of, me just thinking, oh, that's going to be funny. I can't really intellectualize it. It was just more me wanting to show off a trick, like my stupid dance.
Well, that notion too that you've always, I think you're somebody who's always been known to have a sense of humour. The very fact that you got engaged to Darren Day would reiterate that. But I always thought if you're kind of with somebody like a Groucho Marx or a Richard Pryor or a Woody Allen or a Sacha Baron Cohen, there must be a frightening kind of element that I've got to step up now and be funny to somebody who I know is incredibly funny, and whether that makes it a little bit more difficult or makes it easier knowing that you've got somebody around that.
Well, actually, Sacha was responsible for me getting into comedy. I was going for all these dramatic roles and getting rejected again and again, and he said to me, "You're the funniest girl I know. What are you doing? You need to be doing comedy." I thought, what? I'm not funny. And actually, I rang my parents, and they said, "You're the clown of the family, Isla." I'm like, really? I had no idea. That shows you how self-aware I was.
But it said recently in the Sunday Times that you and Sacha are a power couple, or Hollywood's latest or hottest power couple. Does it feel like that way from your end? I don't know whether you recognise that or...
You know what? I don't tend to think about that stuff. I don't even know what that means, but I like the sound of it. You know what? Yes, it's great.
Rock and roll. I think I've been given the finger here to wrap up, have I?
I know, I think you've still got a minute.
Okay. Very quickly. You were born in Muscat, Oman.
Yes.
Your Scottish parents.
Yes.
At 9 months old, you went to Australia.
Yes.
So naturally you became an actor. I don't know whether...
9 months old? No, I was 6 when I went to Australia.
Oh, 6. Oh, okay,
yes.
There you go. But the acting thing was just a nomadic thing in you? Or
I think so. I think you to fit in a new school, you'd end up sort of tapping into your inner idiot to make friends easier. And then acting is just something that, you know why I love acting? My mum used to do amateur dramatics when I was a kid, and I was never allowed to stay and watch the show because I had school in the morning. So I'd see the whole pageantry backstage, Mum putting on the makeup and her getting wigged up and wearing a frock, and then I'd have to leave. And I think I just always wanted to see my mum on that stage, and it seemed so exciting, and the hustle and bustle, and I'm sure that was a huge influence.
Rock
for
and roll.
why I'm an actor. Rock and roll!
Thank you, ma'am.
Nice to see you.